going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 159 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Tuesday, April 28, 2026. I'm your host, Zach Malama. Before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of basketball as the New York Knicks are in action tonight, an 8 o'clock start in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference first round. The Knicks tie the series up at 2, and let's go back to Game 4, where the Knicks tied the series at 2 with a 114-98 win over the Atlanta Hawks. The Knicks completely dominated this game in terms of their shooting percentages, and 49% from the field, 45% from deep. They had 14 three-pointers, and on the other side for Atlanta, just an abysmal shooting performance from deep. Not a team that can really make up a lot of ground if they aren't shooting the ball well from beyond the arc. 24% they shot from deep in this one, just 10 three-pointers on the evening, and the Knicks dominated from start to finish. When you look at OG Anunoby, 22 points, 10 rebounds, and assists, a steal, a block, but Karl-Anthony Towns was the difference maker in my mind. 29 minutes, and he had a triple-double. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, as well as a couple of steals. But when you look at Cat and the difference that he makes down low against this Atlanta Hawks team that heading into this series, you knew there was a weakness down low behind Onyeka Okongwu. The Hawks do not have a lot of depth in terms of their bigs, and Karl-Anthony Towns should be dominating every game against the Atlanta Hawks. Really stepped up, just the fourth Knick ever with a triple-double in the playoffs, while Clyde Frazier did it a couple of times. Dick McGuire did it once, as well as Karl-Anthony Towns' teammate Josh Hart did it as well. So the Knicks get a much-needed win heading back to MSG, and with the series now tied at 2, you almost take a little bit of a deep breath heading back to Madison Square Garden for Game 5. Of course, if the series was tied, was 3-1 Atlanta, it's getting a little hairy there. And this Knicks team that has a lot of expectations on them heading into this season and heading into the playoffs, that would be a bad situation for one Mike Brown, the head coach, and it would just be a huge drop-off for this Knicks team. But of course, this series is not over, and Atlanta still could win this series if they wanted to in either 6 or 7 games. I think looking at this Knicks team, though, they proved in Game 4 that they are clearly the better team in this series. Just putting a stamp on this series of, okay, they've had a couple of games where it's not been great. Atlanta's taken advantage of it. They've hit some big shots down the stretch where the Knicks have struggled down the stretch to hit big shots and have that difference-making shot in the game. The Knicks need to work on that, especially heading into another matchup. If they end up getting past Atlanta against Boston, they would end up really having a tough time because Boston, has a lot of shot makers, a lot of difference makers on the floor, a lot of guys who could hit big shots, and the Knicks need to really step that up. Jalen Brunson was not great in this game. He didn't really need to be. Of course, he went out for part of this game with a twisted ankle, ended up returning to the game, but 19 points in this one, 7 of 18 shooting. Not great from Brunson, and he also had 6 turnovers in the game, so not a great sign there for the Knicks star point guard. He needs to be better. He knows that, and I'm sure he will step up in Game 5 tonight. It's an 8 o'clock start at Madison Square Garden as the Hawks take on the Knicks at MSG. The Knicks come into this game as 6.5-point favorites, total sitting at 214.5. This should be Knicks from start to finish. Protect your home floor. Give the ball to Karl-Anthony Towns. Let him run this offense and have things run through him. Atlanta can't stop them, especially if Okongwu gets into some foul trouble. They have no chance of stopping Karl-Anthony Towns, and I think that's really what the motive has to be for this Knicks team. They have to head into this game thinking, okay, here we go. We have the blueprint. Get it done. Give the ball to Cat. Allow him to get it to shooters as well. And he did a great job of spraying it out to shooters in that Game 4 against Atlanta this weekend. So we'll see what happens, but make sure you tune in tonight. It's an 8 o'clock start. Game 5, Eastern Conference first round. It's the Hawks and the Knicks at MSG. Let's finish things off today in the world of baseball as both New York teams were in action this weekend, and we start things out in Queens where the New York Mets are a disaster right now. The Mets had lost 12 in a row, then they win 2 out of 3 against the Minnesota Twins, and then they head into this series against the Colorado Rockies. It can't get much worse than a 12-game losing streak, can it? How about you get swept by the Colorado Rockies 3-0 in a series at Citi Field, where the Mets just did not stand a chance all series long? It started on Friday, and it was Michael Lorenzen who got the ball for the Colorado Rockies. Came into the game with an ERA over 7. How about he goes 7 innings strong against this Mets lineup? 7 innings, 7 hits allowed, just 1 earned run with no walks and 3 Ks, looking like a Cy Young Award winner. And the Mets, supposed to be Cy Young Award winner on the other side, heading into this year, one of the favorites maybe in the National League. Well, he's looked anything but. Freddie Peralta now 1-3 on the year, 5 2/3 in this game, 7 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 8 Ks. Pretty good stuff throughout. It just got to the later innings, and that's where Freddie Peralta got into some trouble. And TJ Rumfield grounds out to Peralta. It was a bases loaded jam. They end up scoring in the 5th to tie the game, the Rockies do, after Marcus Semien gave the Mets the lead in the 2nd inning. Jake McCarthy then an RBI double in the 6th inning. It's 2-1 Rockies. They added on later with a Johnston 2-run single. Brett Beatty tried to make it close in the 8th with the bases loaded. He hits a 2-run single of his own. 4-3 in favor of the Rockies, and the Mets just did not have an answer after that. Give credit to the Mets offense that actually put up 11 hits in the game. Of course, it only led to 3 runs, where the Mets ended up allowing 4. Of course, that's how it works in baseball, and the Mets lose 4-3 in the opener of the 3-game set. Then you look at Sunday, where the Mets had a doubleheader. It was postponed on Saturday. It gives the Mets a day off, and they probably desperately needed that day off after it's been just a terrible stretch for them. Take a day, focus on other things, or even focus on protecting yourself and making sure that you are good heading into Sunday. The Mets were anything but good on Sunday afternoon. A doubleheader. They are swept 2-0 in the doubleheader. They only put up 1 run in 2 games on Sunday. 3-1 the final in the first game of the doubleheader, where Jose Quintana, old friend, ended up dominating the Mets for a good portion of this game. 5 1/3 he goes, 2 hits allowed, just the 1 earned run. It was a home run to Tyrone Taylor. He had 2 walks and 5 Ks as well, Quintana did. McClain on the other side for the Mets, hoping to get past the certain amount of innings where he would feel comfortable and get this offense rolling and give them enough length. But this Mets team is so bad right now that Nolan McClain pitched pretty well in the game, you have to say. 5 innings, 5 hits allowed, 1 earned run with 2 walks and 7 Ks. In the end, he allowed 2 runs. 1 of them was earned. The Mets just could not get out of trouble in a lot of instances. And when you look at the McClain stats, pretty good for a day in terms of a pitcher on the mound. But the Mets offense is just so bad that they only give him 1 run of run support. It's a solo home run from Tyrone Taylor, a guy at the bottom of the lineup. 4 hits on the afternoon the Mets had in that one. Not a great start to the doubleheader, but you're looking at it saying, all right, maybe they bounce back in game 2. Just got to see something better. The manager is pushing these guys to get something going and just put in a little bit more effort. How do they respond to the manager's push for more effort? They lose 3-0. No runs up on the board in game 2 of the doubleheader, and they end up getting swept 3-0 by the Rockies in that 3-0 game. The second game of the doubleheader, it was Kodai Senga who was in trouble early in this one. 2 2/3 he goes, 3 hits allowed, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 1 K. That was it. That was all she wrote. And when you look at Johnston got an RBI single in the second, Goodman hit a 2-run bomb in the third. That was it for Kodai Senga. Really not great stuff so far this season from Senga, and probably a guy who's going to get sent down. If not today, maybe tomorrow. I mean, that's going to be what it is for Senga right now. He has to be sent down because you're not going to put him in the bullpen. The bullpen is a mess as it is. You cannot put Kodai Senga now in that bullpen to try and figure things out. Just not going to work like that. And on the other side, I mean, the Rockies, all 3 starters were phenomenal. in this series. The Rockies, the guys who have ERAs coming in over 4, over 5, over 6, some of them, these guys dominated this Mets lineup. That's just not even it's unthinkable right now for this Mets team that we are at this point where they have lost 15 of 17. They lost 12 in a row. They bounced back with a couple wins against Minnesota. But then the Rockies, who, yes, they are not as bad as they were last year, solid enough team that they're putting hits together. They're still the Rockies. They're 13 and 16 on the year after winning 3 games. They were 10 and 16 coming into the series. It's just a disaster in Queens right now, and the Mets have to figure anything out. I think when you're looking at this Mets team, though, the problem lies up top. And Steve Cohen hasn't said much just yet. David Stearns had a terrible offseason. When you look at all the moves that he made in this span, they haven't worked out. And I think Met fans were really reluctant to believe that, of course, Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso leaving was going to be a good situation for this Mets team. They were ultimately right to start the year. Bo Bichette comes in, not great. Then you have Francisco Lindor's been struggling. Of course, Juan Soto has dealt with some injuries, so you can't blame him. But the rest of the guys that he brought in David Stearns, I mean, Marcus Semien, disaster. When you look at Jorge Polanco, he's barely played. I mean, Luis Robert Jr. has been okay. Then you look at Freddie Peralta, not great to start the year. Devin Williams, disaster in the back end of the bullpen. Where has there been a good move for the New York Mets this offseason? It's hard to find right now. That lies up top with David Stearns. Of course, you're not going to get rid of your general manager, your president, in the middle of the season. It's just not going to happen that way. So who's going to get the blame? Will it be the manager and Carlos Mendoza? There has not been a move yet as of Tuesday, but I think if the Mets end up losing at all, really, in this next series against the Washington Nationals, if they lose the series 2 games out of 3, I think he's gone. I think there's just no chance that the Mets can keep this manager and keep this same thing rolling after losing 15 of 17. You get swept at home to the Rockies. It is April. It is April right now. And yes, there's some people that will come up with an excuse that, oh, well, Polanco and Bichette and Soto, Lindor, they haven't played together much. They've only played 6 games together this season. Still not good enough because there are plenty of other guys. Bo Bichette's making $42 million this year. Francisco Lindor, of course, is hurt now, but another guy who's making $32+ million this year. These guys are getting hefty contracts. Marcus Semien getting almost $25 million this year. Jorge Polanco getting $20 million this year. I mean, all these guys are getting paid pretty good numbers and pretty good contracts. That how in the world are we sitting here and the Mets offense is last in almost every category besides average? Every single category. Runs per game, they're last. OPS, they're last. Slug, they're last. And everywhere you look, this Mets team on offense has nothing at all. And they have plenty of guys who could step up and make a difference on a game. They just haven't done so far this season. It's really a tough spot right now for Steve Cohen, David Stearns. What do they do with Carlos Mendoza? It looks like they want to keep him. It doesn't look like they're going to fire him anytime soon. And of course, they saw pretty much in their division, that Rob Thompson earlier today was relieved of his duties as the Phillies manager. So the Phillies already made a move. Not good enough right now. They're tied with the Mets, worst record in baseball, 9-19 on the year. It can't get much worse, can it? Of course, you head into this next series against the Washington Nationals, and it all starts tonight. A 7:10 start at Citi Field, where the Mets 9-19 on the year, the Nationals 13-16. Zach Littell gets the ball for the Nats. 0-3, 7.56 ERA this season. Not great. And Clay Holmes on the other side for the Mets, 2-2, 2.10 ERA. So a guy coming in with a 7 ERA, can he dominate the Mets lineup like the Rockies starters did? We'll see what happens as the Mets have to bounce back offensively. They cannot continue on this trend with how bad they are offensively. Hit some long balls. Spray the ball around a little bit. They only had 4 hits the other day in the first game of the doubleheader, and they had 6 in the second game. 10 hits in 2 games. That's not good enough for this Mets offense based on expectations. And just the one run in 2 games on Sunday. So the Mets have to bounce back. Make sure you tune in later, or maybe not tune in later. 7:10 start as the Nats take on the Mets at Citi Field. But on the other side of New York, the New York Yankees had a lot of positives this weekend. Opposite the New York Mets, of course, the Yankees are red hot right now, really rolling in the American League East, and the best record in the American League as well. The Yankees coming off back-to-back sweeps against the Kansas City Royals and the Boston Red Sox, headed into a series down in Houston. Of course, the rival Astros have not been good this season either, and the Yankees really took it to them. They end up snapping the eight-game winning streak, and they end up winning 9 of their last 10. That's really the trade-off that you would take for this Yankees team. Yes, they are not going to win every game. They lose on Sunday. But looking at this series overall, Will Warren was pretty good on Friday night. Got a lot of run support, and give credit to the Yankee lineup that completely attacked Lance McCullers Jr. from the start. Gave Will Warren a 3-0 lead before he even stepped on the mound on Friday night. The Yankees ended up winning it 12-4. Warren went 6 innings, 7 hits allowed, with 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 6 Ks in the game. Solid stuff, allowed to really attack the hitters with that cushion that he had from the Yankees offense. And of course, Houston's not been great so far this season, so they did not do really any damage on Will Warren. Of course, Jazz Chisholm stepped up for the Yankees in this one. Huge contributor for the Yankees in this one, as well as Ben Rice, who stepped up once again. Chisholm, though, 3 for 4 in the game, had a pair of RBI singles, also had a solo bomb. Just good stuff from Jazz, taking advantage of the starting pitcher in this one. And then Ben Rice as well hits a double as well as a solo shot. He's been raking so far this season, and that's what Aaron Boone says. Ben Rice, he just rakes. That's what he does. And the Yankees win 12-4 in the opener of the 3-game set. Then they go into Saturday. Ryan Weathers on the mound, and of course a busy week for Ryan Weathers, who had a baby a couple of days ago. His wife had a baby, and they end up welcoming a baby into the world. He comes into this start, though, probably a lot on his mind, and pretty good stuff in the end from Ryan Weathers. Gave up a couple of mistakes, and that was probably the difference in this one, where he'll say, okay, a little bit more to improve on. But 5 1/3, 6 hits allowed, 2 earned runs with 4 Ks. I mean, that's good enough from Ryan Weathers. You take that, you hand it off to the bullpen. The Yankees started off a little slow in the game. They ended up having a tie game in the 6th inning. And then Austin Wells bounced back with a solo shot into right field that gave the Yankees the lead. They would not hand it back. Plenty of walks, plenty of sac flies, singles, whatever you want. The Yankees did it on offense, and they had 12 hits in the game, 8 runs up on the board, and 6 runs in the final 3 innings of this one. That gives them an 8-3 win, and they win the series against Houston. They end up going into Sunday's game. That's where the winning streak was snapped, and it was a Sunday afternoon game. Just one that, it just comes down to Luis Gil has not been great. And, of course, he had a great outing against the Boston Red Sox earlier in the week. His last outing was really good. The couple of outings after that, or before that, were not great. And Luis Gil has paid the price. He's already down in AAA, demoted by this Yankees team to AAA. Still needs some work. He allowed 6 earned runs in this game. Completely got blitzed early in this one. And Luis Gil has got to be a lot better. He knows that. He'll probably learn from it. And didn't have a strikeout in this game. Just horrible. When you're looking at this Yankee rotation, the positives about it, there's the one negative, and it was Luis Gil coming back from the injured list. Not great stuff from him. And hopefully he gets back to that 2024 form, or even just a little bit closer to it. Right now, he's just not even close to it. And I think the Yankees know that. Good move by them to allow him to go down to AAA, try and figure things out, settle things down, as the rest of this Yankees rotation is really rolling. But the Yankees already down in Texas, down in Houston, of course. They go up north to Arlington, where they take on the Texas Rangers, a 3-game set at Globe Life Field, and the Yankees ended up taking game 1 of the series. Great stuff from Max Fried, who had a really solid start in this one. Ends up going 6 innings, 4 hits allowed, no runs with 2 walks, 5 Ks, 89 pitches. It's exactly what you want from your starter in this one. And Max Fried was electric once again. The Yankee offense was also electric once again. Ben Rice started off the party, a 2-run bomb into center field, 404 feet, and the Yankees took a 2-0 lead. Aaron Judge followed it up with a solo bomb of his own into left field. Back-to-back, the Yankees go in the 3rd inning. It's 3-0 Bombers. Jazz Chisholm gets up in the home run party, and he ends up hitting a solo bomb into right center field. 406. The Rangers, ended up responding a couple of runs late on in this one, but David Bednar ends up getting the save. 1 inning pitch, 2 hits allowed, no earned runs with no walks and 1 K. I think the Yankees did a really good job of setting the tone early with Max Fried. They also gave him some great run support, like I mentioned. Early in this one, gives him a little bit of breathing room, attacks hitters a little bit more, even though he does that already. Great stuff from the Yankees, and they get a 4-2 win in Game 1 of the 3-game set down in Texas. It continues on tonight. What a matchup we have. It's the young guy versus the old guy. I mean, the future Cy Young versus the former Cy Young, maybe. I think when you're looking at Cam Schlittler, he's been pretty good so far this year. Probably not in the Cy Young range just yet, but pretty damn close to it. 3-1 on the year, 1.77 ERA for Schlittler, and he takes on Jacob deGrom, 2-0 on the year, 2.13 ERA. It's a great pitching matchup down in Arlington tonight, and it's an 8:05 start. Make sure you tune into this one. 2 really good pitchers going at it. Cam Schlittler, Jacob deGrom. It's an 8:05 start down at Globe Life Field. But that will do it for episode 159 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malum, and thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Friday.